All right, what is up, guys? VV back with another video, and today we are doing the final part 7 of 7 in the Taking Your Game to the Next Level series for the One Piece TCG. So let's just dive straight in, guys. Very excited about this one. Gear Theory, part 7 of 7, Form 7, Juyo / Vapad. As usual, you guys know the drill here. Disclaimer. This is just meant for educational purposes and only based on the experience I've had in my 15 years of TCGs. This is just meant to help the new players get better, the average to intermediate level players take their game to the next level, and of course, for the best players, if they want to give their insights, this is a good place to do it. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Excuse me, my allergies. So while this series will be focusing on the One Piece TCG, most of the concepts and ideas covered in this video will be applicable to all TCGs and even probably some life stuff as well, especially with some of these personality ones we're going over. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to wrap it up here. So last video we talked about the Joker. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Architect. Gear 7 is all about innovation and creativity. I'm an art teacher, so I'm sure you can imagine this is where I thrive. This is where I reside. Okay, real quick, just to recap, Gears 1 and 2, they go hand in hand. Gear 1 is all about memorization. Gear 2 is about putting time in and playing the game. Okay, Gears 3 through 5 are archetypes. Those are specific TCG archetypes. Rock, paper, scissors, mid-range, control aggro, and a lot of other really important concepts as well, especially in the beginner sections of each. Gears 6 through 7, they're not archetypes, they're more like stereotypes. Okay? So Gears 7, or excuse me, let me do Gear 6 real quick. Gear 6 is about being able to adapt and being versatile and flexible and being able to switch around, which is important, right? That is an important thing to be able to do in a card game. That could even exist within the middle of a game. Like, say you're on the back foot as a control deck where you're just playing defensive, and then you finally get in control and you can go offensive and you can attack your opponent. You can swap it around. Or say you're playing an aggro deck and all of a sudden, oh no, my opponent is catching up to me. I need to go more defensive, right? It's all about being able to switch, right? It's about being able to change it up. So of course, no matter what you're doing, no matter what your style is, no matter what your specialty is, you still need to be able to know the basic concepts of all 7 of these gears in order to improve. Okay? Now, Gear 7, we're going to be getting into innovation and creativity. Okay, now this is all about players who like to build their own decks, right? Making your own style of deck. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop in here. Gear 7, all about innovation, originality, creativity, and intuition, right? You kind of have a feeling that something's good. Like, oh, one example is like, no one's playing such and such a deck or such and such a leader. Maybe I should try that out. Well, you have no idea if it's going to work or not. You're going off your intuitions, right? You're going off you're going off some experience too, and your perception of the game. But you have to use a little bit of that. It has, certain things are a little more intuitive than others, right? Okay, so the first personality type here for Gear 7 for innovation is the adventurer. Basic concept of, I just want to build my own deck, right? I just want to build my own decks. It might be a deck that is already winning. Like, say you make your own Whitebeard deck, your own Edward Newgate deck. And someone, say you go to your tournament and someone gets behind you and goes, hey, why are you running those cards in your Edward Newgate deck? Well, the answer is, I just wanted to make my own deck. I'm not trying to use someone else's list. Good for them that they have that list, but I just like to do my own thing. Same thing with like a Zorro list maybe, or a Trafalgar Law list. Like, yeah, just to be completely real with everyone, there, how do I say this? There are lists that exist that are extremely competitive and extremely fine-tuned because people have come into the game before you, especially if you're a newer player, I'm saying. They've come into the game before you, and they've gone through these steps we're about to talk about, with being the adventurer, going into the maverick, going into, at the end, we'll get to that one. Okay, so you just want to build your own deck, though. That's interesting to you. So in Gear 6, we talked about how some people have to play different decks and or styles just to stay interested in the game, right? Well, here's the thing about Gear 7. Then there are those who have to make their own decks to stay interested. You see what's going on? Certain people like to go through diversity and variation and try all these different style decks that already exist. But then there are people who are more on the innovative side, and they just want to make new decks all the time. Okay? Neither of them is right or wrong, right? Nothing is good or bad of this. It's just different styles. It's different, different types of people. Okay, so the game is fun all by itself, but listen to this next part, guys. I really put some time into this next sentence. The game is fun all by itself, but taking on the task of building your own deck is a journey that can lead to a real sense of accomplishment and satisfaction if you succeed in making it work the way you wanted it to. Okay, so look down at the bottom here. These are all videos I've come up with. I'm not trying to get you to check these out. There's not going to be like a clickable link. I'm just trying to show, like, this is where it resonates with me. Look at this. Comprehensive deck list on the right here of Z. Comprehensive deck builder ideas for GARP in the middle. Comprehensive guide building black-green Isho. Like, this is a big deal to me. This is something that keeps me interested in the game, at least on a basic level, right? Because anyone can go in and try and make a deck and it'd be horrible. We're going to talk about what it means to make a deck that can win as we go through the video. So bear with me here. So be patient. Let's get through this. So one last time, the adventurer is someone who just he wants to go on an adventure. He wants to go on an adventure. He doesn't want to use someone else's adventure, quote unquote, by using someone else's their own, some net deck, some deck that they got offline. Which there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's nothing wrong with people taking winning lists from other tournaments and using those. But for certain players that I resonate with, that's not enough for us. Like, okay, that's cool, and I don't judge anyone who does that, but I want to make my own deck work. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide here. So then we have the Maverick. Okay, this individual doesn't like to play exactly what is meta. While being fully aware of what decks are best, some people see these decks as being boring and that playing and potentially winning with them does a few undesirable things. Either A, and this is just a mindset, it's not saying that it happens, it's just a mindset. They're saying that A, it could potentially exploit a potentially broken deck. I said potentially too many times there, I'm sorry. It exploits a potentially broken deck and or gives someone else the opportunity to counter it with an off-meta deck. What did I just say there for B? It gives someone else the opportunity to counter what that deck is doing with an off-meta deck. So the Maverick is someone who wants to play off-meta, not even necessarily completely making his own deck. He might want to revise a current list from, like, Crocodile or Kuro. You see all these people on the screen here. I chose them for a specific reason. The Maverick, yes, he's still creative and original in the sense that he's really a non-conformist. He just wants to use a deck that no one else is playing, and he'll make his own revisions along the way. At the time of me recording this, a Eustace Captain Kidd deck in OP04 went 9-0. And Crocodile's been getting some traction. Kuro's been doing very well in certain regards. Nami, at the end of OP04 in the East, won first place in a major tournament. Magellan pops up here and there. And that's kind of the idea of this Maverick mindset. It's like, you know what? I'm going to make a deck that can beat what is in the meta. And there's a few ways I might do that. I might make my own deck, right? Like I said. Or I might bring back a deck that no one's using anymore. Does that make sense? So just to summarize at the bottom here, the mindset is this. Okay, we know that blank deck is winning. Fill in the blank, whether it be Law, Zorro, Whitebeard, right, whatever it is. We know that blank deck is winning. So let's make another deck work so that it can compete with that deck. what does that do? You understand, since you're not buckling to the pressure of playing the deck that everyone's playing, no one can counter against your deck. No one can counter you because no one knows you're coming in with Crocodile, for example, or Magellan, or Eustace Kid, or Kuro, or Nami. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, no one knows you're going to be playing said deck at the tournament, so they can't counter against you, right? They can't build meta choices against you unless they have some type of, really impressive levels of prediction, right? Okay, so that's the idea with the Maverick. Last but not least, the Idealist. Okay, I'm going to read this real quick. For this individual, it's not enough to just win or top a tournament. Top means to get like top 8 or top 16 or top 32, depending on how large the tournament is. Okay, but generally speaking, at the local and like slightly competitive, not the super major competitive sense, but the minor competitive sense, anything that's top 8 or better, that's considered a successful night. Like, yes, you want to win the tournament, you want to go X and 0 and win the tournament, but if you get top 8, that is a good job. Like, that is very, very well done, especially with the next part we're about to read here. So for this individual, it's not enough to just win or top a tournament. If they can't do it with a deck they made themselves that specifically, quote unquote, was not supposed to win, it means very little to them. So, for example, this is the mode that resonates with me the most. I mean, I probably should have called it the psychopath, right? The sociopath or something. I'm just kidding. But, like, it really is like the perfectionist or something, where it's like, no, it's not, like, I won't play. It's not that I refuse to play meta. Well, maybe it is, actually. Maybe there is some extent to that for the Idealist. I won't play the meta. Because if I win with Law, if I win with Zoro, if I win with Whitebeard, that means absolutely nothing to me. Because that's a list that everyone knows can win and will win. Like, that's kind of the mindset, right? I almost called this, instead of the Idealist, I almost called it the Iconoclast. Like someone who breaks down traditions and proves them wrong kind of thing, tears them down. Excuse me. But anyway, long story short, all of these slides you see, these are all thumbnails I've made of videos. Notice what they're all about. They're all about Big Mom or Queen. And just at the time, so let me say this real quick. I came into the game in OP02, about halfway through OP02, because I didn't know it was out before then. I would have gotten into it sooner, but I didn't know it existed. Okay, so that's number one. So I came in the middle of OP02. So OP03 was a big gathering process for me where I was trying to collect as many of the cards as I could and get decks running and things like that. Now, OP04, I've been able to do, and at the end of OP03, though, I will say I was doing pretty decent. I'll talk about that in a second. OP04 is where I've been able to, that just came out, so this has just been a good time. Well, now that I'm kind of caught up and I've dedicated time into building my own deck, I've been able to have some real success at a local level with Charlotte Linlin. The black and yellow Charlotte Linlin. And for those who follow this channel, you already know where that's going. That's what all this stuff is down here. I've been able to get, second and third place. I'm still trying to get a first place with Charlotte Linlin. That's on the horizon for me, hopefully. I've got some other decks in the works I got to do first, like that I got to do games with next. But that's going to be a big deal for me. I really want to get a first place local finish with a deck like this that I made myself, and that's not really winning anything major. Like, that's I got to go back real quick. That's the whole point of this sentence right here. Where building your own deck is a journey, and it's not that you don't want anyone. It's not that you don't want anyone to help you along the way. Because I mean, here I am, with a Discord and everything, and people give me ideas all the time. I like to go on a journey with people. I like to go on an adventure with other people. It's fun, right? When there are people who are like you and everyone's respectful. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Okay, but I have to be able to win with my own deck. Like that is the big part of the Idealist, is you have to be able to win with something you made. And again, this is at the advanced expert level, which I would consider myself when it comes to this originality stuff. Just to give a little bit of background on me with Magic the Gathering, I've always been someone who has desired to make their own deck work, even when I first started off. Because back then, that was back in 2008 when it was Lorcana, it was Lorwyn? Is that what it's called? Shadowmoor and Lorwyn. It was during that block. I had to make my own deck. And I did. I made my own deck, and I won, I won a lot of tournaments with it. And not like big tournaments, again. But again, it's about that creativity. If I had won with whatever was a meta deck, I'd get disinterested. And that happened to me once the white-blue control deck came out, back when Jund was doing very well. And this, I know a lot of these terms, no one has any idea what I'm talking about. Just bear with me. There were certain decks that were winning in the format, and if you didn't play them, you weren't going to win. It was just that simple. And that's when I stopped playing the game. And that is just how it was for me. When I first started playing Hearthstone, I played Paladin. That was one of the worst decks in the entire format when it first came out in the game. I'm talking about Season 1, and I made it straight to Legend, running nothing but Paladin. Nothing but Paladin. And I'm not saying any of this to brag. What I'm trying to say is, this is a specific mindset for certain people. It's definitely mine. It's what I resonate with the most. So, okay. So that's really, guys, that was it. How crazy, man. We finally got through this part 7 here, or this 7-part series. And guys, I really want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to know what y'all think. Let me go back to the screen real quick. What do you think is, like, where do you sit? Are you more into Gear 3? Like, are you a mid-range player? Or are you more about Gear 5 as control? What about for your stereotype? Are you more Gear 6 or more Gear 7? Or is there a gear that I didn't say that you're like, hey, man, you missed this. This is what I am. And maybe I could, add more gears later, Who knows? We'll see. What about Gears 1 and 2? One person I know commented on Gear, I think it was Gear 2, or no, excuse me, it was Gear 1, saying that they spoke a different language, and that language barrier would make it almost impossible for them to be a judge. And I do understand where they're coming from. But that's something interesting to talk about and to think about. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this series as much as I did. I'm going to ramble for a good 3 or 4 more minutes to get to 20 minutes, guys. Y'all know I'm going to get my full time in here. Being a teacher, it's what I'm good at. But this series was very enjoyable to me. I really enjoyed this, and I'm so glad so many people tuned in for it. I appreciate you guys for everything y'all do, all the subs, all the comments, all the likes, all the views. It's been really inspiring lately for me, and that's one of the reasons I even made this series, because I'm like, wow, people are kind of interested in what I have to say now. Not to say they weren't before, because the channel just started blowing up. You know what I mean? It just started going up and up and up, and it was like, okay, so this is something people want to hear conversations like this on. So, but anyway, I am very relieved to be done with this. I'm ready to move on to new stuff, talk about, meta watch, what's going on in the meta. I've got some other really cool stuff in store. I recently came up with some play mats that I shipped out the design and had it made. And I'm going to do similar to how I did the artist spotlight for the card that I got from idealist.tcg. I'm going to be doing one of those for let me move this over for the playmats I got, and I want to hear what y'all have to say, and I'll explain more about that when it does come up. But yeah, I don't want to ramble on for too much longer, actually, guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this. I hope y'all had fun with this little journey we went on together. now I got that adventure word stuck in my head, right? This little adventure we went on, this little journey we went on together, and let's see what else. Yeah, I'm gonna have the Discord down below. Please come hang out if you're not on there already. We're just having a good time on there. It's growing. It's pretty exciting. Nothing too crazy. It's not like popping off or anything, but it's just a good time. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, peace.